You just stopped talking. Oh, we're live.
Hello, good
Good
morning.
morning. Good morning.
How are you?
Yeah, welcome to another Small
Yeah,
Biz Chat.
it is. It's another Wednesday, another chat. Love it. Absolutely love
Oh,
it. Oh my word. How are we doing this morning? It's
yeah, no, it's all been a bit of a rush this morning, but we're here, we're live. So, yeah, and looking forward to a really, really exciting chat. So, we're talking about how to choose the right PR support for your business. And of course, we've got the most knowledgeable person in this area in the room, Miss Kristel. And yeah, so we're talking about why PR, which PR approach is right for your business. You know, is it do it yourself? Do you get a freelancer? Do you hire an agency? And we've seen a lot of posts titled sort of, why you don't need this for your business, particularly by those providing that. So, certain agencies saying, well, you only should be doing this, or, freelancers saying, only do this, so you can work with freelancers. So, we want to cover everything and give everyone a real good overview, don't they, as to, why all the different types could be beneficial to your business, or, a particular one could be good depending on what you need. So when it comes to this PR support for, or any support for your business, really, I think both you and I agree the rule that you follow is it right for you? Does it fit your goals? Does it fit your resources? And does it fit your budget?
yeah.
So why today's topic, Kristel?
It was either this or a rant, Karen. I think I've seen too many posts going, you don't need to hire this, and then they'll put a negative around a PR. Now, obviously, my background's PR. I've seen it change over the years, but again, just going back to what you said, it's relative, as to there are some really good people out there. There's some amazing agencies, there's some brilliant freelancers, and you can get incredible success with DIY. But to have like seeing quite a few posts going, oh, honing in on what perhaps the common concern might be, because if you are a small business, I think your concern will be budget. So then let's play on like the fear of cost. Let's say, oh, it's too expensive. But you probably just don't know what the value is, and you probably don't understand how much more there is to PR than what is being promoted. A lot of people think it's media relations, and that's why it's like, well, I just want the coverage, and they're only going to judge it on the results. And the people that are just saying, well, I can teach you DIY PR, or I can get you opportunities like that, they really haven't connected the dots in that approach anyway. It's very rare. And it's not to shame or slam one or the other at all, but likewise, an agency will say, well, you need to spend this. So, it's a balance. And like you said, it's relative. Like if you understand what your goals are, then that will, if you've got a long list of goals, that will require a lot more in-depth work. That then contributes to cost. Like, I think we're all big people here. We can say, we don't have to sit there and go, well, we have to go for the cheapest option. We know that sometimes cheap doesn't always work. It's very fluky when you've had that matrix of great quality work and very low cost. It's very like it's a unicorn basically. So the other thing was seeing those posts, and I thought, we're straight talkers. We're going to show you the pros and cons of each. We don't want you to be confused by this. But secondly, I have a lot of clients that they think they need PR, and then you realize that they don't. So it's something that we're used to sort of like going, well, let's analyze this. What are your objectives? But then equally, they probably don't realize that these three options are available in the first place. So they might have just gone to one and thought, no, I don't really like this approach, and then stopped. So let's have a bit more of an open discussion, and make sure that you get the best value if you are thinking of PR. What is it that you need to think about? And also, just be a little bit more informed with your choices so that you can spend that budget more wisely and get the best results for your money.
Fantastic. So why is PR important for your business then? Why does it need to be considered? Because I think a lot of people think, oh, well, I've just got to, market myself, market. And they think PR sometimes seems to be this, I don't really know much about it. It's sort of just, it's got quite a mysterious sort of thing about it. So why do you think that it's important, it needs to be considered?
Right, the old-fashioned view was, before we had such an eclectic mix of marketing opportunities, the old-fashioned view would have been advertising and PR, like shout about it, everyone will hear about you, because we had fewer papers, like traditionally and historically, you know, we had fewer papers, it was trusted resource. You know, if you got a good review there, like customers would come flooding, because then you would get out there. It's changed. It really has changed over the years. So you've got a whole load of more marketing activities that you could be doing. But the one thing that does stand true with PR is that you could be shouting about yourself in all these different channels. But the one thing that PR does is build up your reputation and build that know, like, trust factor. That trust is particular, and that reputation. So, for example, when you think of media relations and you're using a trusted source to talk about you, it's not just the coverage, you know, it's somebody that is reading that magazine, that likes that journalist or likes that editor or likes that, you know, that content. And it's a refer, it's like it's like the printed version of word of mouth. And then you look at all of the different PR opportunities that you have, it's trusted source. Like when you have a partnership, it's with a trusted brand, it's through their channels that they're introducing you. So I think, to really bring it down, you cannot build a successful business by yourself. You do need partners, you need communities. So PR is looking, or the way that I look at it is, how can we come up with great partnerships, alliances, collaborations, building our own community in these different areas and bringing them back to us. And how can we make sure that when we're being spoken about, we're clear on who we are, what we do, what we deliver, so that when other people are talking about us, that message is in line. So it's really strong with your messaging, your reputation, managing that. I think it's super important. I think that, but it depends what element you want. So again, I've had people that have come up, clients particularly, that are doing really well on their social, they're being their own broadcaster. They haven't needed it just yet, because for their stage of business, it's absolutely right. You know, it's not necessarily you needing to be number one podcast. It's like, it's enough to get all of your clients to come to you, or you're getting enough referrals. So, you know, do you really need then to appear? Do you need to spend a lot of time, resources just yet on like national magazines when you don't have that capacity? So think about it that way. But you could be partnering with an amazing brand or a fellow podcaster and cross promote. That could be a better option for you, and getting more out there. So it's really, I think it's important, definitely needs to be considered. And I think that it's just really understanding, and we'll do more shows on this and we've broken down the content, but really, what are the different areas of PR that you could be tapping into?
Brilliant. Such a good overview there. So what are the when, you know, this brings up kind of, what are the main concerns when hiring PR support then?
Cost. It's an outsource. Like, either way, even if you're doing DIY, you're going to probably have to buy the course. You're probably going to have to, or hire someone to go through it with you, train you. And it's very hard. And I will say this, it's very hard to see an immediate return on PR. So, you know, it takes time. You don't see everything the way that you would do, because when you're dealing with relationships, you're transferring information. If you wanted, say, for example, the information to be written up exactly how you wanted it, or presented exactly how you wanted it, and it delivered all the things that your tick box would say, like links, whatever, that's actually paid. You know, that falls into paid activity, because then you've guaranteed it. But when you're working with maybe another media title, or you're working with somebody else, you could put an agreement in place as much as you like, or you could give them as much as the information. But unless it's paid, like, you can't guarantee 100% that they will do everything, unless you're giving something in return. But it is something that, when you're looking at what's the return, how am I going to see that return, you might have got all the coverage that you wanted, but still not got the conversion just yet. You might have raised awareness, because you're measuring the wrong thing. You might have been wonderful for awareness, but you haven't measured that awareness. You're just looking at the phone, or you're looking at the sales button, you know, going, well, why hasn't that been hit? So I think the main concerns, or the way that I would say, is how to overcome those concerns. be really clear, really clear in what you want to achieve. Is it sales? Is it awareness? Is it connections? Like, what does that look like? This is why we always say, write your brief. Be really specific in your brief. And it can't be things like, oh, I just want to be well known, and then everyone's going to be knocking on my door, crashing my website. Like, you know, you really have to break it down in terms of your goals, your objectives, and your results. Like, what does success look like to you? Be really transparent with whoever you're working with to go, can you deliver that? And I think that's really important. And I think that also work with someone, or get a really good basis. There's so much information there. You know, again, isn't it wonderful that we have like YouTube, or we have like, you know, the web, and you can find out so much more in terms of background of what a good strategy is, what PR can do for your business. What does it look like? There's so much stuff out there. You can, you know, speak to people. You know, people are doing discovery calls now. They're looking at, we ended up looking at a brief. It's like, right, we need to launch next month. And it was completely wrong in terms of timings. It was completely wrong in terms of expectations. So we did take a little bit of time. You know, it was like a half hour, you know, sort of 15 minutes to look through it and go, whoa, we're going to save you a lot of time, because you're going to go try and find another agency, put your money in social, do paid ads. Like, this is going to be the way that you're going to get that traction in your time frame. And then you really should be thinking now, because of how everything works in terms of leads. You need to be thinking now for your next season. Like, you need to start planning. So there's a lot of a lot of planning involved with PR. That's the other thing that a lot of people don't really factor in, the timing of it. You have to get certain pieces of that puzzle together to make a campaign, an activity, a stunt work, whatever it might be, an event.
And book that in far in advance as well, don't you? I mean, like for Christmas already. I mean, I think
July.
You're getting July. So yeah,
you have to think about Christmas in July and get things ready. All menus have to be done. You know, people are looking. Like, again, the opportunities now are getting smaller and smaller and smaller for PR. So it's like, you know, we used to do massive gift pages, like all of the gift ideas, and now it's like, right, pay to play. If you want to appear, we've got a supplement, you have to pay in that supplement. It's really changed. So to have someone to be realistic and go, right, okay, do you have this amount of budget to appear in those titles, or do you have less budget and you want further reach? Like, what is it that you want to achieve here? So you have to think what your goals would be.
Brilliant. And how has PR changed over the years? Because you were just sort of saying that, you know, back in the day you had certain choices and it's changed so much now. What's sort of your general overview of how it's changed so much?
I think what it is, it's two sides, you know, the opportunities in terms of, and I think this is a good thing. Like, you know, I really do think you really have to present yourself. If you are positioning yourself, we really need a good story. We really need a good, clear story. And this is why branding work's so important. You know, sometimes a good PR can actually draw that out of you up to a certain point. But if it's not consistent in the rest of your branding, like, you know, the story doesn't flow as it should do. So I think we're really into stories. It's how we connect with people. And I think that on the flip side, you know, understanding that it's paid and social and, you know, owned media. So your PR opportunities could actually be a result of your own work, your own content creation. You know, you looking after your own, you know, making sure that if you're writing content or creating that macro content, as we call it, those key pieces, and you're putting it in social, that can help with your PR efforts. So it's all interlinked. You know, we didn't have that before. We were all in silos, and now, isn't it wonderful that, you know, you might be able to get a lead from somewhere else, or just promoting a piece of coverage, then somebody else will go, oh, that looks good, let me speak to you about that. You know, I know that's how it works now. But on the other side of change, I would say so many more opportunities in terms of think relationships, think communities, think about how you want to build your own community. It's something that I'm really passionate about, and something that when I'm doing my sort of like rebrand, I'm trying to help people understand a little bit more of, you need to build your own community around you, but you need to be in other communities. Like, almost think of it as networking, and it's like, how do you bring the best of the best to you, for those that will convert, follow your story, understand what you do, love what you do, or want to be a part and want to help, you achieve what your goals are.
Brilliant. And I mean, you touched a little bit on this, but what options do we have as business owner when it comes to PR? What are the pros and cons of each, and how do they differ?
Again, it really goes down into what your budget, your goals, and your resources will allow. So DIY sounds amazing, doesn't it? Because it's like, I'll just do a quick course, or I'll just go do it myself. If you do not have that understanding, it will be wasted time and effort. Like, it just will be. If you do not understand the full capacity of PR and how it's relationship building, and likewise, I can't go up to you, Karen, and say, with no introduction, buy my services, because you'll just go away, crazy lady. Like, what? I don't know who you are. You have to say, well, I understand your needs. Like, the same with PR and stories. Identifying it, packaging it in a way where somebody will go, oh, I recognize this in me. I recognize this is what I need to do, or this is what's useful for me. And packaging it in a way that is attractive to the outlets the way you want to feature it. Like, that's a skill set. That's creativity. Definitely. You can't learn that off, and even just answering Q&As, like an opportunity to come up, they want to see a business owner. Again, have talked about this before. Well, that's great, but if it was like, I need to speak to a business owner in her 40s or whatever, well, I don't want to be in Women's Weekly. That's not my audience. So what you're chasing and where that's relevant for your business, just please bear in mind, you could waste a lot of time going down that DIY route. And a lot of times you don't have the resources to follow up, which is what you need to do. So just to bear that in mind. Freelancers, amazing. Some really skilled, talented freelancers out there that just thought, I don't want to be on the treadmill of agency life, but they're super talented. They've got the capacity, they've got, the contacts, they've got that experience, they can help you. Don't even know what's wrong. Like, couldn't even put a con to them. There's lots of things. They might not have the resources or the structure.
Yeah, I was just thinking, maybe if you talking about a big campaign and there's lots of elements to it, and you've got maybe a short window to work in, then perhaps something like an agency might be better where they've got those resources. Yeah.
And also they might not have, for example, exactly. They might not have the tools, the insights that they might need to direct that campaign as strongly, just because of their outgoings. But with an agency, if they're bringing those tools and elements in, or they have those divisions, it's easier for them to provide a much more robust campaign, which is again, there's creativity. You can have that on either side of freelancer and agency. You have creativity, you have more support. Really depends, like what's the goal here. Who are you trying to reach? If it's from here, or if it's from here, it's like global, then you're going to need more manpower, you're going to need more resources, you're going to need better connections, you're going to need perhaps an agency that is working with some of those amazing partners that you want, or is in that industry. So you really have to see where the benefits are, and just think, like, is your trajectory, like, can you start small, or do you need to be big straight away? If it's a good news story, like some of the best news stories has started with a freelancer just sending out a local press release, and then it's just gone viral. So
you just don't know, do you? But I think, like I say, I mean, well, lastly, sort of how, the last question I wanted to ask was, how do we best decide on what option will work best for us? And it kind of touches on those things. And I think something you said to earlier, to summarize, was have a good creative brief.
Oh, please do. And again, just have that brief, understand it. A lot of people will continue with their business decisions and not factor in and not understand. Why would you think, oh, I've got a business idea, let me think how this plays into marketing or PR or social? You don't. You come up with a business idea first, and then you think, right, how do I promote this? And a lot of the times, it might not be PRable. It might not, it's like, well, I can't help you here. You're not going to get the traction. It's not going to suddenly be a flying success. But otherwise, you know, again, I've done it with just one press release. It had like loads of coverage because it had like such a strong story, a good background, some amazing images. And, you know, you're able to fly with that and go, right, we can turn that around, not a problem. So I think best decide what option will work for you. Have a really good, strong, hard look about what you want to achieve, what your budget is realistically, what resources are available. Have conversations, you know, speak with one, mix it up.
We'll come and speak to you.
Yeah.
Come and speak to Kristel. Well, at least I know with you, you'll be, you know, talking straight down the line and say to people, well, look, actually, I'm not the right person. You need this, or, you know, you will point people in the right direction. I think there's a lot, and this happens in marketing, web design, probably any industry, building industry, you name it. You know, people are often, people come to them and say, this is what I want, this is what I want to achieve. And oh yeah, I can do it. And they clearly can't. They're not the right person. So it's managing expectations and over promising people, and giving them things that they don't want and don't need, rather than giving them what they need. So I think that's really important.
Amazing. Yeah. I mean, you know, everyone's doing 30-minute calls now, or just, you know, we're networking or whatever. There's groups.
Yeah. So people have got the opportunity to chat to people, find out more, have a quick chat. I mean, what do you, so if people wanted to come and speak to you more about it, what is it what's the best way for them to get in touch with you? Or
find me on LinkedIn, website. We'll have a discovery call, like book a call, just, you know, easy enough to do. But yeah, that's exactly what we do. Is just, I quite enjoy it. Just quite enjoy it. I'd rather have somebody, and, you know, again, we've moved away from agency, like money grabbing. Like, some great people out there that are just genuinely, we want to make sure that this works for you. And this is why I feel confident to say, there are good people out there that will look after you. And, you know, if ask for recommendations. Ask for recommendations is one of the key things. Who would you recommend? Who do you think I could have a good chat with?
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. I think that's really brilliant. Really gives a really good overview. I mean, I learn stuff from you every day, and so thank you. That's given me a lot of, you know, things to think about and more knowledge on their overall area and sort of, you know, how to choose the right agency. So yeah, so if anyone who's watching, if you're catching up on the replay, if you've got any questions, do pop them below. Please subscribe to our channel. We've also got details below how you can get in touch with Kristel. Sign up to her newsletter, because obviously you'll get more information that way as well. Catch up with her on LinkedIn. And yeah, we'll see you guys same time next week. Oh no, we're not on next week, are we?
I was about to say,
we're taking a break next week. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time.
Excellent. Take care, everyone. Bye.